Hello everybody and welcome to this playthrough for Pro and Expert Division with various wins for the 6th anniversary 9-hole cup here in Golf Clash the game. Before we take a closer look, make sure that you do hit the thumbs up button, also subscribe to the channel and turn on the notifications. For those of you that are looking to improve your game in tournament play and in tour play, you scan the QR code here on the screen or you use the link patreon.com/golfclashtommy that we do have in the description down below, and you can start as low as $1.50. Look at the info box on the right hand side for the club distance adjustment, elevation adjustment, also what ball and club type I suggest you to play with. Have in mind that those are all suggestions and you don't have to follow it if you don't want to, but there is always a plan behind it. So let's go to hole number 1. Hole number 1, we're going to play Gokasha Bay hole number 1, playing with the rock. And we're playing with our katana. 3 left spin, 3 top spin, and we're playing an NMT, which means that we're not touching our target until it's time to adjust the rings. Max plus 10 is the adjustment, and the goal here now is just have a simple and safe drive to get ourselves up to a spot where we can play a sniper to the pin. Outside wall left curl to add in the end as well to push the ball back left and to be able then to keep the NMT as our starting position. On the second shot we do have our sniper, and now I like a lot to play the rough bump. The rough bump, however, is kind of finicky, and the reason it is finicky is due to that we can find a similar ball guideline position with different spots into the rough. So here it is important that you do know what type of spin to use and then go with that as somewhat a fixed spin situation, and then you will be needed to respin after you have set the spins from the start if the ball guideline is not showing the way you want to. Here I'm using the blue ring by rough and fairway, ball guideline slightly short due to the fact that we do have tailwind. Adjustment here now is going to be minus 10% elevation with true club distance. So if you do not know what club distance to use, then check where max club are or the min club are, not or but and where the min club are, and make an educated guess. Perfect ball it is, bounces into the rough, and we are rolling down the green and getting ourselves a lovely eagle to start with here in hole number 1. For hole number 2, Santa Ventura, here we're going to be playing a Goliath rough bump. There's really just 2 ways of playing this hole in my opinion. It's either rough bump or you are bouncing like we do in the golden shot, that we bounce on the fringe. But if we do bounce on the fringe, we are going to have a lot of backspins, and then it's either a high level sniper or it's going to be the guardian. So Goliath boxing in the red ring by the bunker and the rough line, ball guideline through the hole. Adjustment in the video is max plus 5, but I would like us to play max plus 10 due to the slight miss to the right of the pin. Adjustment is done, center the ball and hit perfect. Even though there isn't that much rough to play on, a great left or great right is still gonna be fine, as there is, where you look to where we land, you have a lot of room to the right and also to the left. So max plus 10 is what I would like you to adjust instead of the max plus 5 as I'm doing in the video. Hole 2 offers a good chance for a drop. Hole number 3 of the Gokasha Bay is an old classic. I remember it from way back in the day when I was starting to play Golf Clash. This was one of the few holes that we had back then to play, especially on Tour 10. When we are playing here, we are bouncing on the right hand side over the rough, trying to get as far down the fairway possible. Adjustment is max plus 10, and the spins will vary depending on what type of wind direction you have. In headwind, it is recommended to use as much as you can, as the compressed ball guideline will be making it difficult to get the distance enough when making your drive. However though, if you do have a tailwind, you need to reduce the topspin, otherwise there is a risk of you getting a glitch roll to roll into the rough there at the top. Now, nicely done here, and we are around 360 yards. Second shot is either gonna be a long iron or it's going to be a wood club. Preferred to always have 135 yard wood club packed, which is the Goliath or the B52. The Grizzly is a gamble because it doesn't have the full power, and if you are in that zone where you are somewhat in between yardage that you do want to have, there is a risk that you might just be stuck in between clubs on the approach as well, and that's not something we want to do. Therefore, the Goliath is miles better to use than a Grizzly level 7 or level 8 in my opinion, whereof obviously a high level B52 is the most preferred long iron here on the approach. 10% elevation, true club distance. Now we're closer to max club and then we are to mid club, so here we're playing close to max distance and barely lipping out on the right hand side. Good chance for an albatross on hole 3. For hole number 4, this is Oasis hole 3, and we're going to play a rough bump. Here, when we do have a tailwind and we want to play the rough bump, then we're going to have to play with a P2 ball as most, otherwise we will pull into min club. So that is the only thing that really is the tricky part here with this par 3. There is a lot of trees, and that tree you can see there, or that palm tree, if we do have a wind left to right, the rough bump is not going to be something that we will suggest, because then the tree will clip the ball guideline and you risk going into the water. So then it's either to go to the left side of the tree or to do a bounce on the fairway pad to the right. However, using the fairway pad to the right is going to make you need a lot of curl or a ball with a lot of side spin. So there is positive things with the both ways of playing, but there's also negative things to them both. Adjust is minimum distance with 5% elevation and using a different amount of spins depending on what type of wind angle I'm having. So that is something that you need to have in mind, as you can't just use a fixed spin here because it's all about the speed you come up the green and fall down into the hole. For hole number 5, this is Kokasho Bay, hole number 8, and here we are going to use the fairway path on the right, and especially when having tailwind and also direct crosswind, this is going to be a fairly easy drive, whereof when you do have a headwind, I would strongly advise you to use a ball with more power than power 3. This to allow you to not have to go with a lot of overpower, because that could be a little mess if you hit a bad grade to the left or to the right where the rough then may be in play, and then this hole becomes not it's never a simple drop, but it doesn't become a good chance for a drop, then becomes in the end a way to just trying to save the birdie. Max plus 10, I'm using all the top spin that I can here with my extra mile and 2 bars of a right spin. If you do have an apocalypse, you can push with more curl and therefore also use more top spin, because the more curl you have, the more the ball will be pushed right, but also the more top spin you have, the more the ball will be pushed then back left. So it's something that you need to have in mind, so you're not using too much topspin and roll into the far distance rough. From there though, there will never be any issues to save the birdie, but it would suck, as we do want to have a possibility to attack for an eagle without obviously being into the rough. Now, second shot, we're playing here from the fringe, and we're using our thorn. You can obviously use a different short iron if you would like, but the thorn is a universal club, I would like to say, and that the most of the players do have in a decent level. Ball guideline into the hole, and then trying to judge obviously the club distance. So if you don't know what to play from the specific yardage point and stuff, then make sure to check where max club is and where the min club is, and make an educated guess from there. No elevation though, as this is definitely not being played downhill. Perfect ball it is, and you can see that we're bouncing on the fairway up towards the pin, just barely missing on the left hand side, because we are not judging the club distance in a correct way. No matter what though, this will be a very solid chance for an eagle. Hole number 6 of the Meadow Castle, we're gonna push up to max and we're gonna play with a power 5 ball. The idea here is to get the ball to be as close to the green possible. Now I'm using 5.8 bars of topspin and 2 right spin. The reason I'm using 5.8 bars topspin is for those of you that do not have a POC 6, a POC 7, a POC 8, to be able to see the drive here as realistic for the club you have, because a POC 3, 4, 5 does all have 5.8 bars of topspin. Adjust max plus 10, pushing up to max, and here is all about going max overpower. There is so much fairway to play on that we can gamble by hitting an extremely bad grade, as I'm doing here now, and still be able to be on the fairway if we are aiming correctly. And once again, getting close to green, it's definitely something to be preferred here, because that would make the Albatross super simple. And I do believe that from a tournament perspective, this is a par 5 where an Albatross will be made more times than not. Now, getting to the spot that we are now, we're going to play a wedge. And the wedge here is going to be with the wedge you prefer. I prefer the Endbringer, obviously, as I do have it in max club. Unfortunately, we are in a position here now that we could choose to play with a short iron, but as it is a tailwind, it's going to be a little bit tricky, and we will most likely adjust into min club. So I do then go back to the wedge and play it just standard. So I played max plus 35 here, but if we would be in EB school range, we'll be playing at 20% elevation with the Powerball number that we're using. If we're playing with a short iron, we might have a shorter drive, or it is a headwind on the approach, so we can allow us to play from min line. We're playing 10% elevation through club distance. So adjusting the wedge for max plus 35 due to being short of pins, so I can't really do the EB school as standard. Perfect ball it is. The ball bounces on the fringe up towards the pin dead center for an Albatross here in hole number 6. In any time when we do not have a tailwind or a straight crosswind, this is going to be a very finicky drive, but I found a very nice way of getting us over to the right side fairway without not taking that much risk. So what I'm doing here is putting my quarterback at max P3, which is plus 15, yellow ring by the rough line, adding then slightly less than 3 bars, which is going to be so like 2 to 2.5 bar topspin depending on wind strength. Switching then to Apocalypse and my Grizzly bag. Adjustment, max plus 10 P3. And then we're gonna go with full curl to the right with just before circle drop overpower. And the reason I'm using the just before circle drop overpower is so everyone, regardless if you do have any proper grid lines or not, will be able to follow that curl reference. Now rolls nicely down the fairway, and now we do have a long iron to the pin. When it comes to the long iron, it's going to be played fairly differently depending on what type of wind angle you have. If you do have a headwind, we're going to have to adjust way more. This to compensate for the compressed ball guideline. If we do have a crosswind or a tailwind, we're going to have to adjust less, because then we're not going to have the compressed ball guideline to have to compensate for. So what I'm doing here now, using 2 bars of backspin, I'm aiming with the second bounce to be just after the fringe on the green with the ball guideline through the hole. I'm using true club distance and 35% elevation in this example. And once again, the adjustment here on the second shot will change depending on what wind angle and the strength that you are having. So this is one of those shots where I can't really say, okay, this is the way you're going to play all the time. Unfortunately, I wish that would be the case, but unfortunately. Bounces on the fairway, up onto the fringe, comes in a little bit hot, but I'll take it. Dead center drop for an eagle, so maybe a little bit more backspin would be better here on hole number 7. But in the end, though, it's the drop that matters. For hole number 8, the par 3 of the Meadow Castle. Here we're gonna use the sniper and go for a rough bump first. Before spin, yellow ring by the rough line with the ball guideline to point to the edge of the other rough line. From here, we're setting 4.2 top spin and 1 left spin. The ball guideline will then be through the hole. And the 4.2 topspin will allow us to have enough speed to roll the ball to the hole, even though we do have a headwind. Medium distance, no elevation, so I'm adjusting 5.7 rings for 6.3 miles per hour. Center the ball and hit perfect. Perfect ball it is, and you can see that we bounce into the rough, rolling down to the green and dead center for a lovely hole-in-one here on hole number 8. I do believe that this is one of the better chances on the par 3s for the 6th anniversary 9-hole cup. For hole number 9, I'm going to go a very aggressive route here. Here you can see that I'm starting way out to the left with the bullseye by the rough line, using 1 left spin and half a bar of topspin. Now, we are not making any adjustment here. We're just letting the target stay there, going with max curl to the right and trying to do a slice. And here, obviously, using a slice might not be what you would like to use, but I feel that's an easy way to get around the fact that you have to hit perfect sometimes. And as we do have a lot of fairway to play on, that's a good suggestion in this situation. If you do want to play just a standard drive, you can play just a max plus 10 adjustment, either go straight up or you can use all the curl on Apocalypse and still go to the right side there. Because the reason I'm going on the right hand side is to attack the pin with an aggressive rough bump. And the reason I'm going for an aggressive rough bump is because the bunker and the rough is most definitely covering a lot of the alternative ways to go. So the rough bump here is obviously asking you to be very spot on with your adjustment technique. Aim center into the rough with the ball guideline to hole, 5% elevation with true club distance. So when we're making the adjustment, it is very important that we're making sure that we do have the pull angle suggested, and when we have this angle, we're pulling with an 1159. And sure, this is a nice drop. I mean, I'm very pleased always with these type creations, but at the same time though, if you do not feel confident with this type of aggressive approach, then you can back up and bounce on the fairway before the bunker and the rough, and allow you to have a much easier time to just first and foremost lock in the eagle. But the albatross chances will be much less. That's obviously the thing that you're forfeiting by doing a choice like that. But I'm not the one playing your account, so in the end you decide which way you want to play. I wanted to show an aggressive route that might not be that common on Oasis hole number, yeah, I think it is hole number 1, but hole number 9 in the 6th anniversary tournament. Thank you so much everybody for watching this playthrough for Pro and Expert Division with various wins for the 6th anniversary 9-hole cup here in Golf Clash the Game. Scan the QR code for the best guides on the market for tournament and tour play. Thank you so much once again for watching. Good luck in your Golf Clash game.